guys, Leah Michelle, Resistance Chicks, coming at you on the first day of February 2017. So yesterday, Trump appointed the justice. We've been waiting for this a long time, right? Kind of wait and see. And so what happened?
Well, why don't we just let Trump tell us?
In Trump words.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Keep going with the word.
When Justice Scalia passed away suddenly last February, I made a promise
Suddenly.
to the American people.
Suspiciously.
If I were elected president, I would find the very best judge in the country for the Supreme Court. I promised to select someone who respects our laws and is representative of our Constitution and who loves our Constitution, and someone who will interpret them as written. This may be the most transparent judicial selection process in history. Months ago, as a candidate,
We like
I
transparency.
publicly
You're a
presented a
conspiracy
list
theory.
of brilliant and accomplished people to the American electorate and pledged to make my choice from among that list. Millions of voters said this was the single most important issue
Raise
to
your
them
hand if you voted
when
for
they
Trump
voted
this.
for me for president. I am a man of my word. I will do as I say, something that the American people have been asking for from Washington for a very,
I
very
gotta say, it's
long
kind
time.
of true here, folks.
Today,
Clap, yeah. Go ahead. No. Clap, 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 clap.
Clap, 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 clap. You smile.
thank you.
Thank you.
Today I am keeping another promise to the American people
I'm gonna start talking like this.
by nominating Judge Neil Gorsuch of the United States Supreme Court to be of the United States
Can they
Supreme
pick anybody
Court.
that has
and
a
I
good
would
last
like
name?
to ask
Smith?
Judge Gorsuch and his wonderful wife Louise to please step forward.
Let's try to spell Scalia.
Please,
You're not gonna get it right.
Louise, Judge. Here they come. Here they come. So was that a surprise? Was it?
He likes surprises.
I wonder what he does for Christmas presents. Big surprise. Just keep clapping. This guy's
I have always
excited.
felt
I mean, look
that
at his
after
face.
the defense of our
Maybe a little
nation,
sick.
the most important decision a president of the United States can make is the appointment of a Supreme Court justice. Depending on their age, a justice can be active
This
for
guy's
50
pretty
years,
young.
and his or her decisions can last a century or more, and can often be permanent.
Take that seriously,
I took
man.
the task of this nomination very seriously. I have selected an individual whose qualities define,
His wife
really,
looks
and
like
I mean closely
25 years
define,
old or
what
something.
we're looking for.
His daughter is
Judge
wife.
Gorsuch has outstanding legal skills, a brilliant mind, tremendous discipline, and has earned bipartisan support. When he was nominated to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, he was confirmed by the Senate unanimously. Also, that's unanimous. Can you believe that nowadays with what's going on? Yeah. Also with us tonight is Maureen Scalia, a woman loved by her Scalia, whose image and genius was in my mind throughout the decision-making process. Not only are we looking at the writings of the nominee, and I studied them closely, but he is said to be among the finest and most brilliant, oftentimes, the writings of any judge for a long, long time.
So, I'm going to take a second here and give you a kind of an idea of who this guy is. So, his name is, forget it, I'm not even going to say Gorsh. It sounds like a soup. Like borscht.
Yeah.
Gorscht.
Yummy soup.
He's only 49 years old.
Oh my gosh. It's
I
like
know.
a baby.
I know. He's the youngest
baby
one
judge.
to in 25 years. So, in making the announcement Tuesday, Trump said, "When Justice Scalia passed away suddenly last February, I made a promise to the American people: if I were elected, I would find the very best judge in the country." And that's what he just said. And you know, what really stuck out to me, and what I think most of you, if you were on the fence about Trump or Hillary, you said, I'm going to vote for Hillary. I'm not going to vote for Hillary. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because of the Supreme Court nominee.
Right.
Now, we have a different take on this. Now, this man, from what I have read, from what I understand, he is in the vein of Justice Scalia, and he's a constitutionalist. He is pro-life. He believes in sanctity of life, and he even wrote a book, as a judge. He went to Harvard and Oxford on why assisted suicide should be illegal.
Wow, that's really huge for a Supreme Court justice.
I know,
to
and
take
that's at
that
the bottom.
heavy-handed of a stance.
Right. I think that it's at the bottom of this article as I was reading. He says,
It might be somewhere around here.
He says his position on the life issue is fairly laid out in his book, The Future of Assisted Suicide and Euthanasia, which noted Princeton University Press builds a nuanced, novel, and powerful moral and legal argument against legalization of assisted suicide and euthanasia, one based on the principle that, surprisingly, has largely been overlooked in the debate, the idea that human life is intrinsically valuable and that intentional killing is always wrong. Now, I'm not saying, what I like about this is I don't say that anybody should have to be put on life support.
Right.
Or have life continuing things.
Right.
So when you take somebody off of a ventilator who has these things, I don't want to be artificially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is not this physician assisted suicide is when you're sitting there and you want to die.
Yeah.
And you can't kill yourself because you're not dying.
Right.
Right?
Or you're dying and you want to quicken it or whatever, however you want to word it.
Right,
you know.
Exactly. So all life has value and significance, and he made some other pro-life decisions in his career, and so I think that
short career, 49 years old.
For pro-life people, this is a victory in their eyes.
Yeah.
But Michelle and I want to give you a slight different take.
Spin.
In that,
because he just said that a lot of people think that this is the single-handed, like, most important decision that the President of the United States will make
because
or can
his decisions
make.
are supposed to last through a century or more. Now, this is truth land. Okay, we live in truth land.
Right.
Not necessarily a fact isn't necessarily truth.
Right. Just because something is the way that it is right now, like we operate on the dollar bill, that doesn't mean that it's lawful and that we should. We should be backed by gold. We should be on the gold standard, and the Federal Reserve should be shut down.
Exactly.
This is in that same vein.
Okay, so our founding fathers, this is how they viewed the power. The executive branch was over here, and then you had your
judicial.
And then you had your legislative branch and the judicial branch.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the judicial branch was always supposed to be the least powerful. Right. It was basically, Michelle and I have an argument. We can't solve it, so we need to take it to a judge to determine.
Who will use, let's say hypothetically, the Bible. That's the best we can come up with, equivalent to the Constitution. Who will use the Bible to interpret, okay, well, the Bible says this, 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 and this, and so Leah is right, Michelle's wrong, Michelle's right, Leah's wrong.
You used to be able to bring the Bible into the courtroom, and throughout history, we have created what's called activist judicial branch.
Right. Meaning,
the Constitution says that the legislative branch shall be the only branch to make
law.
Okay? Even with the executive orders, they're not necessarily supposed to be making or breaking any laws. Okay?
Right.
So these are, the legislative is supposed to have the most power.
Because, and here's why, guys. I'm sorry. It represents the states. And we need to get back to our republic, which is what we are. We are a republic. And the legislative branch embodies that republic. And so we send people to Washington. They vote on our behalf.
Right.
When you bypass that and you give single-handed power to an executive branch or a judicial branch, you're using like a kingship type blanket
exactly.
authority.
When you have these 9 judges and they sway back and forth, 5-4, 4-5, and then you got this guy on here, and everybody's so excited because you have a conservative judicial branch.
Right.
Well, remember, first of all, Roberts reneged a couple times on us.
Yeah.
So what it goes to show you that these judges sit in a place of a kingship, and they're not elected.
Exactly.
And that is what is wrong.
It is so evil. And you know what? I think a lot of you know this, and so we're not feeding you anything that you don't already know. We want to treat you like as equals. You know what we're saying. But here's the thing. When you're speaking to your friends and your colleagues and things like that, you need to make this clear to them, because a lot of people do not understand this.
Right.
It's disgusting
This
what's
is
going
you can
on.
be cautiously optimistic.
Right.
Maybe like, oh look, our team won, but you can't. Because even if it had been Hillary appointing a liberal judge, and your heart sinks, and you feel this pit in your stomach, and you think to yourself, oh, what's going to happen next? You have to recognize that our country has to make a shift.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest shifts. We have got to strip the judicial branch of
its power,
of its legislative power.
Yeah.
The only reason we have abortion in America is because the judicial branch took on unconstitutional powers, but there's no power higher.
Right.
So they can't, I mean, and the Congress can go, and then it would be a big battle, and they've tried.
Right.
They've tried, and there's a lot of different issues.
There's something
Obamacare was ruled by Roberts to be under the Commerce. What's interesting about this guy is he doesn't see the Commerce Clause the way that Roberts did. He sees it the way Scalia did. So you could see an overturn of Obamacare, definitely.
Sure.
You know, in that vein, or obviously it's still 5-4. You know. But anyways, and the idea that the power could rest in one, you know, it just
in like one person.
It leads
one,
you to think,
with a 9-panel system.
Right.
Really, decisions of our entire nation can rest,
but they shouldn't,
in the hands of one person, and that is not what our founders intended.
The founding fathers said that the judicial decisions should affect that case,
and that case
and
only.
that case only. It is not judicial law. There's no such thing. You can't go back and say, oh, law, precedent, law, precedent, law, precedent.
Right.
No, Constitution's the same.
Yes.
Law's the same.
Right.
And then we apply it to each individual case as it goes through. Okay, I appeal to the Supreme Court.
And I know that throws all of you lawyers on like kilter, because you're so case law.
Which is hilarious, because everything I wanted to do was go to school to be a lawyer. I was going to go to Harvard. I was going to be a lawyer.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was going to do.
Just because this is the way that it's done now is not the way that it was intended to be.
But that's why I didn't want. That's why I chose to go to ministry school instead.
Right. Because you don't want to operate within a corrupt system. Right. Because it's practically impossible.
I appreciate the Christian judges that do.
Right.
With constraints. It's kind of like you're all tied up and you can't really move and you can't really bring justice to anyone. You can't because you've got all these cases and they're not supposed to be done with it. They're done. You've got all these laws that aren't based on the Constitution.
So anyway.
Yeah, so anyway. Back on course. With perhaps one notable area of disagreement, Judge Gorsuch's prominent decisions bear the comparison out with Scalia. For one thing, the great compliment that Gorsuch's legal writing is in a class with Scalia's is deserved. Gorsuch's opinions are exceptionally clear and routinely entertaining. Did I say that?
Where?
Right here. Entertaining. Yeah, entertaining.
Maybe he's like Trump.
He is an unusual pleasure to read, and it is always plain exactly what he thinks and why. Like Scalia, Gorsuch also seems to have a set of judicial ideological commitments apart from his personal policy preferences that drive his decision-making. He is an ardent textualist like Scalia. He believes criminal laws should be clear and interpreted in favor of defendants, even if that hurts the government prosecutions like Scalia. He is skeptical of efforts to purge religious expression from public spaces, like Scalia. He is highly dubious of legislative history, like Scalia, and he is less than enamored of the dormant Commerce Clause, like Scalia. In fact, some of the parallels can be downright eerie. Upon Scalia's death in 2016, Gorsuch wrote a tribute to the late justice in which Gorsuch discussed and championed Justice Scalia's method of legal interpretation. He wrote, "Judges should instead strive, if humanly and so imperfectly, to apply the law as it is, focusing backward, not forward." And
that's so huge.
Is key. And this is why I think you can rest in peace for a second.
Right. This is not progressiveness, guys.
I just got goosebumps. Like, I know when I get real goosebumps because they come in my head. They're on my head. And looking to structure, and history to decide what a reasonable reader at the time of the events in question would have understood the law to be.
Wow, you guys, that's so huge. What he's saying is you're going back in time.
Founding fathers,
It's a time capsule where you're going back. What did the writer then mean? We have so many people that are progressive. They call themselves progressives, which sounds wonderful, but they're not going back to the origin of our nation.
Yeah. Not to decide cases based on their own moral convictions or the policy consequences they believe might serve society best. As Justice Scalia put it, if you're going to be a good and faithful judge, you have to resign yourself to the fact that you're not always going to like the conclusions you reach. If you like them all the time, you're probably doing something wrong.
Wow.
All right.
I got goosebumps too. So yeah, that's kind of huge. I mean, I don't think we really need to go back to the rest of Trump's. I mean, you guys can go and see that on WND.
Yeah.
If you want to watch the rest of Trump's speech
Well,
there.
he makes some good points.
Okay. All right, we'll give it to you guys.
Go ahead.
I didn't turn the volume off.
Oh.
Did you mute it here?
No. Put in the volume.
No. Maybe I hit it. No, it's still there. Nope, it's just not going.
Oh,
Okay, well, no, you do get to go watch it yourself.
Okay.
We're very technologically advanced around here.
Oh, yeah. This is evolutionary.
All right, so you know what? This is another one of those wait and see. Leah and I will put this in a we're kind of satisfied camp. But like we said, you need to. This shouldn't be the be all and end all of, oh yay, oh my gosh, we got what we wanted, yay, this is fantastic. Because what needs to happen next is that Trump needs to overhaul and get Congress to help Congress overhaul the judicial system, which is going to take a lot of tearing down and a lot of rebuilding, and we're just praying that happens. So this is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not a conspiracy theory, if it's the truth.
But I have some conspiracy theories coming up for you later. I think Matt, I'm going to put up a video of Matt talking about the Jesuits. We've got some tie-in here.
Yeah.
Cincinnati being the newest sanctuary city coming up. That's our next video.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff for you. We actually did that yesterday. We didn't have a chance to put it up.
I'm ready to get that up. And we got some conspiracy theory coming at you. We're excited about this.
We are excited about that.
That's what we live for, okay? That's how we get... You can only interpret modern history when you go back in history.
Exactly.
And so we got to go back in history sometimes, and we got to uncover these conspiracy theories, and we're not going to always get it right because we're not there. We can't be there, right?
Right.
Okay, but we're going to try to dig and dig and dig and bring these things to you.
Ring the bell for notifications so that you get every video that we put out, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks, and share these on your social media pages. We love you guys. See you back in a bit.
Are the Rothschilds not Jewish, but Jesuit conspirators? Whoa.
Wait and see.
I was cold all alone, no place for home every day, so afraid, but you called my name.